there's quite an interesting piece here that we've got on Memoirs of an Emmy Goddess, and as usual, I might just go off on a bit of a righteous crusade because I'm fed up with the Ministry of Health telling us that we're not entitled to anything because myalgic encephalomyelitis, or here I always get that wrong, is a personal health condition and doesn't cause disability. So anyway, now the Centres for Disease Control and in America, and looks like the UK is following suit, sort of saying something like, quite to the contrary, it is a disease, more exercise isn't better, which kind of bucks the trend of what some health organisations think. So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to take this link here in, send it off to the relevant people, that being probably Ministry of Health or our local MP, Chris Hipkins. I think he might be the Associate Health Spokesperson for Labour, who's currently in opposition, hopefully not for too much longer. So first of all, I guess we need to compare it with what the Ministry of Health says already and see if they are up to date. So we've just banged in here some search results for myalgic encephalomyelitis in good old Ministry of Health. Bang up to date. Sorry, your search found no results.
No results for myalgia.
Fantastic. Myalgic. So we can try myalgia as well. Let's see what we've got here. Myalgia encephalomyelitis. See if we get something from here. You never know. We might get lucky. Ding ding ding. Nothing found. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's try chronic fatigue syndrome, and what are we going to get for the highest one up here? The most important thing to do with this is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus.
What's that got to do with chronic fatigue?
What we'll do here then is we'll put some, and here's where my keyboard's a bit stuffed, so because I like it English and they only sell American here. There we go. Search for the exact phrase chronic fatigue syndrome. We got 3 results. One to do with iron overload, hemochromatosis, green prescription success story, and HPV vaccination safety.
So there's actually nothing on...
Bugger all here. Let's just have a quick look at that because it's quite interesting. Safety of human papillomavirus vaccines study around the globe. They have a good safety profile. There's ongoing monitoring of vaccine safety.
Don't get into the
but
vaccine debate.
Let's not go down there, hey? All right.
That's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down.
So there we go. Nothing on the Ministry of Health.
So just let's just clarify that there is nothing on our Ministry of Health website about ME or CFS.
It's as far as I can see, no, nothing.
Yet they won't. They don't even call it a personal health issue.
Sorted by relevance. Let's sort it by date. Filter results by audience, health sector of diseases and conditions, which is probably going to bang it down to one of those, and that's to do with iron overload, which we have had problems with, haven't we, my love?
Yes.
But that's that one. So at a loss on this one. I guess we're going to have to go to our MP and say really what's going on here.
Because we've been turned down, you should perhaps clarify why it's important to have it recognised as a condition.
Oh, because at the moment it's Bernice's I guess disability as a result of this is termed as a personal health condition by the Ministry of Health, which means that she doesn't actually get any help, or no help that's of any use to us, which is problematic at best. We wanted some assistance from the health system. I don't know if I can find out where we find this. It was to help us out initially, maybe with some car upgrades. Here we go, disability services. Now, disability support services, where are we now? Having to go a lot quicker than I'm used to. I usually like to pore over these things in the finest of detail, spending many hours.
Hang on, I can pause it. I can pause the thing.
No, you don't need to do that. I found it. You go equipment and modification services. That's what we're after.
So just to be clear, we got no assistance with getting a wheelchair. We've had no assistance with any equipment that we need to help me get around the house, or to help me, darling.
Well, none.
I needed wristbands and things like that when my hands stopped working, and we got nothing. So.
And the only way we could find this actually out was because we went through Ministry of Health, passed us on to, it was an Enable, I think, or Enliven or something like that. We're a local third-party service provider who basically couldn't find anything that would help fund us from the Ministry of Health, and they are the people who are actually supposed to find that out.
But going back even further,
I'm going to kill children in a minute.
Going back even further, we couldn't even qualify for a needs assessment.
No, we would have to have paid for that ourselves. And the only way we actually finally found that out was by going to a provider right at the end of the chain who was apparently the local expert in how this works. Nobody at the Ministry of Health themselves understood really too much about how their funding worked and who was eligible and who was not. And we did talk to a couple of the senior advisors there. Nobody in the policy department knew. Nobody at the third-party service provider knew. In fact, it was the guy at the end of the chain who had previously worked, I think, maybe in Ministry of Health, that was the only person who seemed to know what was actually going to pass through and get approved and what wasn't. So we were then pushed to go to the Lotteries Commission, who would have provided us with some funding towards the sort of things we need to do to our car. As it stands at the moment, I'm still lifting the 43 kilo electric wheelchair in and out of the back of our estate vehicle, and that's minus the 2 10-kilo batteries. That may change once I've had my rheumatologist appointment to find out why my ankles are so spannered.
We should also point out, though, that our doctor and the nurses at the practice see this situation as ludicrous, and they have been absolutely, completely supportive of our case, but they have hit the same walls that we have.
So just going on to this, I have to laugh because one of the bits I just landed at it makes me laugh, where it says part of the therapy and assistive technology equipment operational protocols
Slowly.
consist of Part 3, local level agreement template, outlines how health and education services will work together to deliver quality services at the local level, including how people will work together, who the key players are, and what is required of each party.
Okay.
It's amusing.
But we didn't get any of that, did we?
Nobody seems to know what anyone else is doing.
Well, shall we wrap this up? So the topic for this video is, what do you want to call the topic?
How crap the Ministry of Health is in regards to ME.
Okay, that'll work.
Sums it up.
Okay, that's a really good title. Okay, we'll wrap that up now, and I'm sure that Hunni will have a lot more to say. Probably not such a later date, just looking at him now.
Well, let's just carry on just for 2 minutes, because about the disability support services.
Oh, well, let's just say, hi, Superman.
Yeah, so, disability support service responsibilities include...
Slowly.
If I'm going fast, it's because it's not highly relevant, it's partially relevant.
Oh,
and if I'm going
you're
slow,
being
it's
so British.
Relevant. Purchasing disability support services for people generally under 65 years of age with a long-term physical, intellectual and or sensory impairment that will require ongoing support. For more information on eligibility, refer to Am I Eligible? Click.
Oh, this is exciting. It's fun. It's fun working out how many ways you can be turned down.
The Ministry funds a range of disability support services. These are available to people who have a physical, intellectual or sensory disability or combination of these, which is likely to continue for at least 6 months, limits their ability to function independently to the extent that ongoing support is required, mainly under the age of 65. Also fund them for people with some neurological conditions resulting in permanent disability, some developmental disabilities in children and young people, physical, intellectual or sensory disability that coexists with a health condition and or injury.
But don't I fit into all of those categories?
Well, your NASC will be able to clarify these if these apply to you.
What's an NASC?
Don't know entirely, it doesn't tell you, but it's something to do with a needs assessment, service coordination.
But they won't see us because our condition is not on the list.
Yeah, and they don't get paid for it. Here we go. The Ministry of Health does not generally fund disability support services for people with personal health conditions such as diabetes or asthma, mental health and addiction, conditions more commonly associated with ageing such as Alzheimer's. Doesn't actually tell you who does, and one wonders if any of these poor buggers get as little help as we do. So there we go. Disability support services are also not funded most people with impairments such as paraplegia and brain injury caused by accident or injury. So here you go. You're going to get far more help if you mow down a few people with your car but happen to injure yourself than you are if you're unfortunate enough to end up with ME. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.